So, you have a tent and a rig, and you love overlanding. You have plans to do it big, on the trails and some super glamping? Want ideas, tips, news, and reviews? A podcast that's first rate and here just for you? You don't have to think about it. Join us and be about it. Something interesting? We want to hear about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Welcome to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints podcast.
Sponsored by Midland, communication for every adventure. The industry leader in radio communication technology and innovation for over 50 years. Sponsored by MyMedic. Sponsored by Tembo Tusk. Sponsored by Trail Rated Coffee Company.
Always remember, the opinion you follow should be your own. Just consider the things stated here to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online.
Hi, my name is Phil from Waypoint Overland, and you're listening to Random Waypoints. All right, so here we go. Welcome to another episode of the Random Waypoints podcast. We'll be doing an episode every week, so like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss an episode. This week, we answer a viewer's question and go deeper into my travel plans to Alaska. Also, we'll discuss my other overland travel plans for 2022. So stay tuned for the whole show. But first, let's take a look at the news.
During this segment, we'll cover various topics with a connection to overlanding in some way. It could be land use news regarding the national parks or the Bureau of Land Management. We'll keep you up to date on any auto industry news when it pertains to relevant and potential overlanding vehicles. There will be camping and outdoor industry news, as well as photography and video, fishing, hiking, and on and on. Now, here's the news.
Restyled and adventure-ready, the 2022 Honda Passport begins arriving at dealerships this winter with a rugged new exterior design that better reflects its true off-road capabilities and more standard features than ever before. Inspired by the spirit of exploration, the first ever Passport TRAILSPORT takes Passport's new rugged styling even further. The new Passport TRAILSPORT features standard torque vectoring IVTM4 all-wheel drive, rugged design tires, unique styling touches, navigation system, roof rails, and more, with a manufacturer's suggested retail price of $42,470. Honda has offered weekend adventurers durable and capable SUVs for more than 2 decades, and our newest Passport takes this to a new level, said Michael Kiestemacher, Assistant Vice President of Honda National Sales at American Honda Motor Corporation, Incorporated. The new Passport and Passport TRAILSPORT don't just look rugged, they're ready, willing, and able to get dirty tackling trails. All new from the A-pillars forward, Passport's bold design includes a sculpted hood with a pronounced power bulge, squared-off nose and upright grille, and revised front fenders. Around back, a redesigned, more aggressive rear bumper features cutouts for larger twin exhaust outlets, plus a tow hitch cover and skid garnish design that matches the more rugged front-end styling. Passport's tough new look better reflects the rugged capabilities of its strong unibody construction, independent front and rear suspension, standard 280 horsepower 3.5-liter V6 engine, and its 9-speed automatic transmission. The Passport TRAILSPORT features standard all-wheel drive and a 10mm increase in track width to improve stance and stability. Even the design of the new TRAILSPORT logo, inspired by nature's beauty and the spirit of exploration, expresses the exhilaration of outdoor adventure. Orange TRAILSPORT badges grace its grille and tailgate, while the Passport and all-wheel drive badges are painted gloss black instead of the chrome used on the rest of the lineup. In the cabin, TRAILSPORT stands out with orange contrast stitching on the steering wheel, door panels, and seats, amber interior lighting, and the TRAILSPORT logo embroidered on the front seat head restraints and molded into the rubber floor mats. TRAILSPORT also features power folding mirrors for narrow trails and heated windshield wiper parking area to keep them from getting stuck in frigid conditions. Complete details on the 2022 Honda Passport including a full list of specs and features, are available on Honda's website. Honda continues to ramp up for its year of the Honda SUV. The all-new sporty and versatile 2023 HR-V will be revealed April 4th. Tuesday, Ford introduced the F-150 Rattler, a distinctive, rugged entry-level addition to its 2023 F-150 lineup for adventure-seeking customers looking for a stylish truck with standard four-wheel drive for exceptional off-road capability. Our new F-150 Rattler offers aspiring adventurers an off-road option with expressive looks and capability in one package, said Todd Eckert, Ford Truck Group Marketing Manager. This truck builds off the F-150 off-road legacy while allowing us to introduce new customers to the right blend of styling and value in the F-150 lineup. The Mercedes-Benz G-Class has held a unique position in the AMG portfolio for over 2 decades and represents the pinnacle of off-road driving performance. Its cult status makes it the ideal ambassador to ring in the 55th anniversary of the performance luxury brand with the Mercedes-AMG 63 Edition 55. Limited to 55 units in the U.S., the anniversary model will be available later this year. The 2022 Mercedes-AMG 63 Edition 55 is finished in obsidian black metallic and features the AMG emblem, 22-inch AMG forged wheels, and a cross-spoke design with matte gray paint finish. The fuel filler cap in silver chrome with AMG lettering. The interior is characterized by contrasting black and red elements, stainless steel door sill trims with red illuminated AMG lettering. The AMG Performance steering wheel in microfiber also commemorates the anniversary with the AMG and 55 badges, making this special model an exclusive collector's item. AMG seats are finished in two-tone Napa leather in classic red and black. The exclusive interior is rounded off by AMG matte carbon trim elements. Its unique position among SUVs is underpinned by AMG ride control suspension and AMG-specific driving programs. The handcrafted AMG 4.0-liter V8 bi-turbo engine with 577 horsepower and 627 foot-pounds of torque and a 40-to-60 ratio all-wheel drive with 3 differential locks, extremely fast-shifting 9-speed automatic transmission, double wishbone independent front suspension, and adaptive adjustable damping deliver on the AMG brand promise of driving performance on and off-road. Are you ready to ditch road trips due to high gas prices? Or not quite ready to travel across the globe in a cramped plane? Well, maybe an adventure via train is in order. In fact, it could be the perfect time. Amtrak's popular U.S. Rail Pass, which gets you 10 rides over the course of 30 days, is $499. That means you can score up to 10 trips that'll end up costing you just under $50 each. The USA Rail Pass allows you to explore the 500 Amtrak locations across the country. You can buy the US Rail Pass on the Amtrak website or on their app. Once you use your first segment, you'll have 30 days to use the rest of the USA Rail Pass. But if you don't have space on your calendar to start exploring just yet, don't worry. The pass is valid for 120 days after purchasing it. If you're thinking about switching up your method of travel, getting around by trains has become more popular in recent years. It's a way to take in more of the country and get access to views you'd miss in a plane or even in your overland rig. Now it's time to discuss more about my trip to Alaska later this year. One of the things I didn't mention yet about my trip to Alaska is I hope to film and photograph the Aurora Borealis or Northern Lights. Now, I know you probably already know about the Aurora Borealis. It's awed humanity for thousands of years. And as far as written history goes, the dancing glow of greens, purples, and sometimes blues, reds, or yellows in the night sky has inspired explorers, artists, and scientists alike. Well, for me, the experience of seeing the Northern Lights in person is near the top of my bucket list for my overland trip to Alaska. My game plan to see the Northern Lights is get as far north as I can. For the glow to appear, solar wind has to collide with gas molecules in Earth's atmosphere. Due to the impact of Earth's magnetic field, these particles concentrate closer to magnetic poles, which makes aurora much more observable in the polar regions of the world. Alaska is a well-known destination for the likelihood of seeing Aurora Borealis and increases the farther north that you go. My challenge, the farther northern parts of the state are not easily accessible. To increase the odds of seeing the northern lights, I plan to keep an eye on clear skies and the geomagnetic activity intensity. While there are no reliable ways to predict either of these a few days in advance, you can check the Geophysical Institute's website for daily geomagnetic activity forecasts. Using social media is another strategy that I'll be implementing. There are social media accounts providing great advice and up-to-date information by the minute. There's Aurora Borealis Notification Facebook group. I advise you to check it out. It's a community where people share experiences, photos, and status of auroras around the world, with about half of its posts focused specifically on different Alaska locations. There's also Aurora Notify on Twitter. This has shorter and more on-point messages. I just discovered that there is also several free webcam streams that cover Fairbanks and nearby areas, North Pole and Poker Flat, and are online nightly. And just so I don't miss any time-sensitive info, I'm going to run Aurora notifications from social media accounts with the text notification service. I'll receive short-term forecasts and alerts when aurora is showing. It's worth the effort staying up to wait for auroras, but it can be tiring. Regardless of the preparation, I know there's also the chance the lights won't appear during my trip. But that doesn't mean I won't have a fun and memorable Alaska trip, so I want to make that clear. As long as I make it to Katmai to film and photograph the brown bears at Brook Falls that I talked about last week, I'll consider the whole trip a success. So with that, I want to talk about some other things. All right, so I was asked by a viewer of last week's show which month that I was going to be visiting Katmai National Park to see the bears. I plan on being there from August to September. First, let's cover when's the best time to see bears, period. And that would be either July or September. And so since I'm going to be there August through September, I'm visiting at the peak time, which would be September for me. So that's the answer to that question. Another reason I chose to visit in September is I want to take the bus tour from Brooks Camp to the Valley of 10,000 Smokes and take the hike that you can take along with the rangers. Also, another big reason is I love the fall. I think this is the perfect time to visit because I love the fall. I won't be worried about heat as much, burning hot days. It's better for sleeping for me. Also, my favorite weather is rain. The precipitation is pretty good during this time of year. So there'll be some beautiful rainy days to wake up to. And if anybody out there is watching this is a photographer, you know that there's something about the way the fall light hits things. So I'm excited about the fall light. The way the light falls, no pun intended, due to the angle of the sun during the fall, makes just some of the most beautiful photographs you can take anywhere, not just in Alaska. Like one of my favorite places to go in the fall is Vermont, or I like to go to southern Utah, totally different types of places. But in the fall, the photographs that you take there are very unique than the ones that you take any other time. You know, someone may be able to take Photoshop and reproduce the hues or the saturations that you get. But if you want the authentic thing and you want to actually see what you're photographing, I think the fall is the best time to photograph almost anywhere. Also, I wanted to mention some news. For more brown bear watching, I may also be going to Lake Clark National Park and Preserve. What happened was I was contacted about the possibility of profiling a pilot and hunter. Now, it's still early, and we need to work out dates for each other, and also look and make sure that each other's ideas or visions about this, work together. So let me tell you a little bit about the private pilot. I'm not going to go too deep into it because if it doesn't work out, I would have hated to take you deep down this hole. Anyway, he owns a Beaver Seaplane. So this really excited me. And I don't know if anybody out there knows about Beaver Seaplanes or has any interest in Beaver Seaplanes, but amongst its fans, it's often called the best bush plane ever built, or the workhorse of the North. And if you've ever been to Alaska, you'll definitely understand that workhorse of the North. You'll see a lot of those planes, a high concentration of Beaver Seaplanes. The Beaver Seaplane was very instrumental in modern frontiersmen in exploring Alaska early on. And just a piece of trivia, they produced about 1,600 of these airplanes. They don't even make them anymore, but they still service them. And out of that 1,600 airplanes, they stopped making them in 1967. But out of that 1,600 planes, I don't have the number, but it is a very high percentage of those planes still flying from 1967. And it's a very high percentage of those in Alaska. There's actually a lot of them in Seattle too. And just something that I noted, if you enjoy aircraft like this, like I do, it's a big deal to me. I recommend you checking out a PBS film called The Great Arctic Adventure. It's a film about two Seattle pilots who circumvent Canada and the Arctic Circle in Beaver Seaplanes. So I recommend that. Trust me, you'll like that. And like I was mentioning about Seattle, here in Seattle, just across the street from where I record, if I were to walk out the door, go right across the street and take a little stroll, there's seaplanes that you can charter for boating, British Columbia salmon fishing lodges, and all type of remote adventures. A fun way to visit the San Juans if you ever come here, or Vancouver Island, or you going into British Columbia. That's a good way to access places that you normally wouldn't be able to access in the Pacific Northwest and British Columbia. There are a lot of places like that here. So I'm sorry if I went too deep and ranted about the seaplanes, but I wish I could afford to have a Beaver Seaplane. There's also maintenance and upkeep involved in it that would just be way above my pay grade. I also wanted to mention, someone asked me a camera question, so I'm going to take that even further and let you guys know that I plan on filming this whole thing in 4K. Everything in 4K that's possible. Drone footage, my action cameras, my video cameras, my DSLRs, even my iPhone. I also plan on doing time lapses and photography. I already mentioned the Aurora Borealis and the photography that I plan on doing there. And I also plan on going to Denali. I think I mentioned that before. But next week, I'm going to go deeper into Denali itself because I have some surprises. I've seen what others have done in Denali, and I know some people that live near Denali that have sent me some recommendations, and I'm going to cover those things in my next week. I wanted to go a little deeper into the wildlife that I was going to photograph too. Most of the things that I'm talking about this week are things that people either commented about or asked me questions about. So I'm kind of like scooping them all up and answering them the best I can. Like I said, I'm trying to do all the iconic wildlife in Alaska. And I mentioned about whale watching, and people asked me where I was going to do this or how I was going to do this, especially this being an overland trip. Well, first of all, I plan on focusing on humpback whales and orca whales. I'll probably just stumble upon beluga whales. That's not a big deal to me. I have a couple of places planned that I hope to observe them from the coastline, and I also plan on taking a boat. I'm not completely sure about what boat I'm going to take, but it will either be out of Anchorage, Homer, Seward, or Whittier. Those are some of the best places that I've researched to do whale watching and have a high rate of seeing these animals. So Anchorage, Homer, Seward, and Whittier. One of the places on land I plan on going to, I don't know if you ever heard of it, Beluga Point site. You can Google it, it'll pop right up, but it's right on the highway. You pull right over and there's this strait, and whales go by all the time, or at least that's what they say. I'll let you know. And something else I didn't mention, I plan on doing a little fly fishing. I fly fish all the time. I never mention it. I never photograph it or anything, and that's because I suck at it. I rarely catch anything. When I do whale fishing, when I do fishing and I do good at it, it's usually because a guide is taking me somewhere where basically you throw your hook in and the fish are almost just jumping on the fish. It's nothing to do with my skills, so I normally don't mention it. But I'm going to do a little fishing, fly fishing on this trip. I originally wasn't, but some of the equipment and gear that I'm taking anyway, like I'm taking waders and my boots for my photography so that I can get into rivers and water and stuff. So I'm halfway there. I might as well take a rod and some flies. So I plan on doing some fly fishing. I'm still researching where I'm going to be doing my fly fishing. And something else, I'm also researching purchasing a kayak before I take this trip. And I'm looking for a specific thing. I don't have any room nor inclination to carry a full-on kayak on top of my vehicle. So what I'm looking at is those origami or folded type of kayaks. And I've narrowed it down to My Canoe, Sea Eagle, Advanced Elements, Whole Sports, and OOOOO kayaks. And the only ones I really, really know about is Sea Eagle and OOOOO kayaks. But if you guys know something, let me know. Contact me. Send some information down in the comments. I would like to hear as much as I can before I make a move and pick one of these things, because they're not cheap. Some of them cost more than if you just bought a regular kayak. And if I get the kayak, I know one of the places that I want to go is the Swan Lakes Canoe Route in the Kenai National Wildlife Refuge. And I picked that because that's a place where I know I can park my vehicle safely. I can go a great distance and come back and my vehicle will be there. And it's a pretty tame thing for someone who doesn't kayak on a regular basis. So, and I mentioned that right after the fly fishing, because depending upon the kayak that I get, depend on where I go with the kayak, I may attempt to try and fly fish from the kayak. Or I might, go to like a little outfitter at the last minute or a Kmart or something and buy a little cheap angler kit and try angling from the kayak. Now, I mentioned one of the reasons that I picked the time that I picked to go to Katmai for the bears, Like he keeps talking about these bears, but I'm obsessed with it. And I mentioned that I wanted to take the guided tour to the Valley of 10,000 Smokes and go to the visitor center and take the hike with the rangers. It's pretty cheap to take the bus, and they also, if you pay for it, it's included to have, they give you like a lunch, so you don't have to worry about lunch. And you're going with a group of people. You ain't got to worry about being lost. And it's a visually unique area. So there's something I'm looking for. The tour begins at Brooks Camp. So after Brooks Camp, I don't have to I can just hop on a bus right there and it'll take me. And then I go back to Brooks Camp and then I fly out. So it's very convenient. And it's like, you're right there. Why not knock that out off my list? Something I wanted to get into. I don't really know how I want to get into this. I just wrote a note for myself, and it's the lyrics from a song, "Too late, baby, much too late." I wanted to talk about things that might not be around any longer and why I encourage anyone and everyone who has intentions of getting out and doing things, has bucket list locations that they have on their mind that they want to go to. It's not that just you don't want to wait till you get old to do it, but we're reaching a point, especially with climate change, where there's already things that if you don't go see it now, they won't be around in a few years. There's already some things now that if you didn't already go see them, do them, experience them, it's over. You're never going to get to do it. It's no way to knock it off your bucket list. I wanted to go to the bus, the bus 142. It's the bus that, if you ever saw the movie The Wild, or it's about the Christopher McCandless, known as Alexander Supertramp. He died in Alaska in a bus. There was a movie called The Wild, if you've seen it or read the book. And that bus, I wanted to hike to it and take a picture, but because so many people have gone there and died after him, they had to responsibly remove it. And now I can still see it. I can still visit it, but it's not at the place it was, which was the big deal for me. It's now where it's at. It's at like a university now. And I'm going to go to the university and I'm going to visit it. But the way I wanted to do it, the way I had it on my bucket list, because I don't consider it a bucket list thing anymore. It's like going to a museum to see it now. The bucket list was to go find this bus in the woods across the river and take a photo. But I can no longer do that. Another thing is I live real close to Glacier National Park. They're going to have to change the name soon because it barely has any glaciers in it. And the glaciers that it has are so small, they're negligible now. Another example of something where if you don't get to it, in a few years, there's no way to do it. Went to Lake Mead, which is constantly, every time I go to Lake Mead, every year, the water levels have gone down, down, down. There's an actual town that was flooded over originally that you can drive and right up to this town that now has resurfaced because the water has gone down so low that it's come back up. It's completely dry. There's docks along Lake Mead that were popular places to drop your boat off and play around, do water sports, picnic. Those places, they have like chains at the gates because the water no longer runs up to to where you would take your boat and put it in the water. So that's another example. Went to Ostrom Point in Utah last year, and I think that might be the last time that I see the boats go the complete route through Lake Powell. They sent out a warning this summer. I mentioned it on last week's podcast. They're telling you to call and to check websites if you plan on boating, because they're not sure which of the docks will be opened or closed because of the constantly lowering level of water. Another sign or another example of something where they have these houseboats that you can rent and take them through Lake Powell. If that's something that's on your bucket list, the water's going to be at a point soon where you won't be able to take one of those houseboats. And already you can't take those houseboats into a lot of areas that you used to could go to because there's no water or it's not deep enough for the houseboats. And the houseboats are like flat. So imagine how low the water has gotten in some of these areas. Historic sites also are another thing. If you have certain historic sites in your mind that are on your bucket list to visit, some of those are endangered. Like Parks Canada, which is the equivalent of the National Park Service, they just had to shut down a real iconic historical site called the Abbott Pass Hut. This year would have been 100 years that hut existed, that you could go visit it. And now you can't visit it any longer. They had to shut it. They tried to do everything possible that they could to just keep it going just to 100 years, just to get that far. They couldn't do it. They had to shut it down right before the 100th year. So let's say you even had it in your mind, well, I wanted to visit on the 100th year. That sounded like a real romantic idea. Well, it won't happen. If you didn't visit last year or the years before, it's over. What I'm trying to say is you need to start now if you want to see the world as you remember it. Because one, the world is just naturally changing, plus climate change and sometimes politics. There's many different reasons, but things are changing and you got to start moving toward whatever it is on your bucket list, because everything isn't written in stone. And even things that are written in stone aren't written in stone anymore because climate change is eroding that. Well, that's my rant. Now it's time for Waypoints.
Waypoints. Waypoints will cover all aspects of navigation for the overland traveler. Navigation is the act or practicing of navigating, the method of determining position, course, and distance traveled.
All right, this week on Waypoints, we're going to discuss tips for saving gas at the pump and on the road. The spring and the summer is prime season for overland travel, and some have their routes planned, their rigs, trailers, and campers ready, and can't wait to hit the open road after another long winter. Overlanders, however, face a challenge right now. That's gas prices have never been higher in the United States. Normally, the price of gas climbs when the summer fuel blends that reduce emissions are introduced in the winter. We're used to that. That's normal. But last year, crude oil and gas prices failed to dip at all before the spring run-up. Plus, right now, the war in the Ukraine and sanctions on major oil exporter Russia, the accompanying global supply shortages, and general inflation have caused gas prices to skyrocket. There are many ways for you to save money on the overall cost of any road trip, including by adjusting your itinerary and how long you stay in one place. But aside from that, there are simple ways to directly save money on gas. First, be strategic about where you fill up your tank. Gas prices have risen everywhere, but the retail cost of fuel can vary significantly, even at stations across the road from each other. Fuel prices also differ by region, state to state, and within states. In Washington state, for example, drivers filling up in the Seattle-Tacoma metro areas pay some of the highest gas prices in the country. But gas tends to be cheaper in central and eastern Washington. There are always exceptions on the road. The price of gas is usually higher in a remote area that sees a big influx of seasonal tourists, such as a small gateway community to a national park or a popular attraction. So plan to fill your tank or top off in areas where the average cost of fuel is cheaper. I suggest going to AAA's Gas Prices Tracker page, which publishes the daily average cost of fuel by county. Mark out the areas along your route where the average cost is lowest and aim to fill up there. Plan and prepare. Another way to save money on fuel is to buy regular gas. Most cars, SUVs, and trucks run just fine on regular and gain no extra benefit from higher cost premium fuels. Only use higher grades when it's recommended by the manufacturer. It'll be right in your manual. Planning your route is another way to save money on gas. This is not to say that you should stay on a highway or take the most direct route to your destination. I'm not for that at all. Part of the joy of overlanding is exploring back roads and small towns off the highway. It is, however, possible to do back road exploration while keeping fuel efficiency by planning your route ahead and understanding what attractions and sights you want to see. It's just like a day of running errands in the city. If you have several places to go, you'll save money on fuel if you plan a logical route. A logical route where you'll hit each store or location in order rather than doubling back and making several side trips in traffic. It's the same concept in planning your overland trip. It's more efficient to visit locations and sites when you reach them on the route. It's also wise to avoid driving at peak traffic times or during the hottest part of the day. As the temperature rises outside, you are much more likely to crank up your air conditioning. The condition of your car and tires greatly affects fuel efficiency on the road. Most newer vehicles don't require frequent tune-ups, but you should maintain your vehicle by the manufacturer's recommendations to get optimal fuel performance and avoid problems on the road. One inexpensive way to save money on fuel is to keep your tires properly inflated. Anything that's wrong with your car can contribute to a drop in fuel economy or lead to a breakdown, but inflating your tires is probably the easiest thing you can do to improve fuel economy. Underinflated tires have increased rolling resistance that reduces fuel economy. The tires can also overheat and blow out. So proper tire inflation is important not only for saving money on fuel, but for safety on the road. Driving habits can have a big impact on fuel efficiency. Drive the speed limit. On the highway, aerodynamics, their drag causes fuel economy to drop significantly as speed increases above 50 miles per hour. In addition, while on a highway, consider using cruise control when appropriate to improve fuel efficiency. And of course, try to avoid using air conditioning as much as possible if you want to save money on fuel. Avoid aggressive driving involving rapid acceleration and braking, which lowers fuel economy at highway speeds and in stop-and-go traffic. Fuel efficiency improves with smooth acceleration between stops, as automatic transmissions can upshift into higher gears sooner, reducing engine's RPM and saving fuel. Plus, avoid leaving your car idling. If you expect to sit at one location for more than 60 seconds, consider turning the engine off. The one silver lining of higher gas prices is that it may convince more drivers to adopt better driving and planning habits. So we're going to switch gears now. Also this week on Waypoints, we're going to discuss some things to consider if your overland travel includes international travel. A positive coronavirus test result can end an international overland trip before it even starts. Some countries, they won't let you in without a negative result, while others will. But with the subvariant of Omicron spreading in Europe, everything could change at a moment's notice. Although no one can guarantee the outcome of your test, there are ways to ensure you'll get your results faster. Rapid PCR tests can be expensive, but I think they're worth it. The rapid PCR test, it provides results on time. A comprehensive travel insurance policy can increase your peace of mind these days too. Circumstances can change in an instant, forcing travelers to change their travel plans. While some hotels have been flexible about changing dates, that's not always the case. Additionally, some travel insurance companies have 24/7 help desks that can help you find a testing center when you're away from home. So, what could make you even more nervous than a last-minute corona test? Failing it. If you haven't left home, it's not a major inconvenience, but you can always postpone, isolate, and travel later. If you're at your destination, however, you could be in a world of hurt. This is when planning ahead will really pay off. Before you go, check with a knowledgeable travel advisor who can help you find a hotel with the coronavirus testing center or isolation options. If you're taking a multi-destination trip, ask a travel advisor to pull up this information for each potential isolation location. Knowing your choices before you leave can ease some of your fears. A positive test result can hit travelers particularly hard, but if you test positive, at least you know, which means you can begin to take steps forward to plan and regroup. If you've taken all these steps, insured your trip, taken a rapid PCR test, and developed a contingency plan, you can remove some of the worry, but not all of it. That's because travel comes with inherent risks. If you've done everything that you can to minimize the risk of traveling, you just have to accept what you can't control. Now, that might be the hardest part. And everyone, I want you to please take note that potential travelers should take local and national public health directives regarding the pandemic into consideration before planning any trips. Travel health notice information can be found on the Center for Disease Control and Prevention's interactive map showing travel recommendations by destination. The CDC's Travel Health Notice webpage is also a good place to go. Well, that wraps up another episode of the podcast. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And with that, I want everybody to stay safe, tread lightly, and hopefully I'll see you here or on a trail soon.
You have been listening to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.